Alright, my friends, bienvenidos a otro video. Hoy vamos a hablar sobre el próximo verbo ser. Alright. So here we go. In Spanish, the verb ser is also equivalent to the verb to be in English. Now, in English, we know there's only one verb that is to be. We don't have a distinction between one and another. So we say, for example, the dog is here. This is describing its location, and we're pretty familiar with this already. We know that in this sense in Spanish, we would be using the verb estar. In our next example, we see a slight difference. We see the dog is brown, and this is a description. In other words, it's a little more permanent, right? In this case, we're going to learn how we would use ser. Okay, so obviously the verb is the same in both cases for us in English, but there is a difference in Spanish, and this is why it's important to choose the correct verb. All right, so without further ado, let's take a look at our chart here. You'll notice that the subject pronouns have stayed the exact same. Yo is I, tú is you, él is he, ella, she, usted is my you in the formal sense, right? My nosotros is we, vosotros is y'all in Spain only, and then ellos is they. I'm going to put in parentheses here, M for masculine, ellas is my they feminine, and my ustedes is the y'all that we are going to get used to using. All right, and so you'll see that we do have our new verb conjugation. So to say I am is yo soy. You are is tú eres. He, she, or you formal is él, ella, usted, es. Again, we see that these three verbs carry that same, or these three subject pronouns carry that same verb again, that third person singular, right? All right, moving on. We have nosotros somos, or we are, vosotros sois, y'all are, in Spain only, and then my ellos, ellas, y ustedes son. Again, my third person plural, guys, have the exact same conjugation as well. All right, bonus points here. Can you guys remember what other thing acts like this third person singular? Right? It is a singular thing. And on the flip side, for the third person plural, it is a plural thing. All right, so important stuff here. So we have I am, yo soy, you are, tú eres, he, she, or you formal, I'm just going to write it over here, is, the nosotros somos, we are, and then my ellos, ellas, y ustedes, they essentially are as well. All right, moving along. So, in estar, we learned 4 different ways or times in which to choose that verb, and ser is giving us 7, right? We're going to talk about each one of these, the first of which is description, profession, point of origin, identification, material, possession or ownership, and then where an event takes place. So in all caps, somewhere in your notes, I need you to write that ser is considered our more permanent verb. It is used for our permanent things, or more permanent. All right, so the first one that we're looking at here, again, is description. So this is different than someone's personal opinion, all right? Very, very different from the personal opinion. In which case you use estar, right? You say, wow, she looks beautiful. Someone else can say, I don't really think so. So it's different here. This description is used to make an objective remark, right? It is what it is. So for example, down here we have la casa es roja. or the house is red. Can't change it. It's definitely not purple, it's not blue, it's simply red. We're not changing that. So we're talking permanent here. La casa es roja. Again, this is that singular thing. That's why we're using that es verb there. The next I have is somos simpáticos. And remember, somos is one of my unique verbs, so it doesn't share a conjugation with anybody. I automatically know it belongs to nosotros. Therefore, I didn't need to include it in front of it. But here we go. So somos simpáticos. If you've been paying attention to your Quizlet vocabulary, we know that simpáticos means friendly. So I'm saying we are friendly. It's a description, right? If someone says that you are friendly, it's not likely that they mean that you were friendly for 5 minutes today. They're probably saying you're a friendly person. It describes who you are. You are friendly, or in this case, we, right? Notice again, too, we're matching in that gender and number. We is more than one. And since I don't know the gender specifically, we always default to that masculine. So instead of saying simpático or simpática, we have to see that plural form because of we, so my S ending, and I assumed masculine because it wasn't specifically stated otherwise. Bingo. Okay, moving on. Los carros son viejos, or the cars are old. Right? Can't change it. It's an objective remark. They're not new. They're old cars. And again, we see that plural masculine, keeping it together there, matching in gender and number both. And then finally, the last one says, es la flor amarilla, or is the flower yellow? Muy bien. And I chose amarilla because la flor is feminine. All right, moving along. The next one that we use for ser is profession. Okay, so when you come into a job, you are likely not getting into it or your career, I'm going to keep this for 2 weeks and then see what else pops up. No. When you choose a career, you choose it for the long haul, or at least that's the hope at some point, right? Now, this is where I think it's important to note. We see soy estudiante. Again, it's that unique conjugation. I know that soy belongs to I, so I am, check it out, a student. Now, initially, we might not think that a student would be considered a profession, but think for a second how long you've been a student, right? If you're a senior and you took a kindergarten class, guess what? You are in your 13th year of school. That's pretty permanent, my friends. Not to mention, if you choose to go on to college or pursue a master's or a doctorate, you're looking at a couple decades. So yeah, a student is considered a profession. Who knew you had a career? All right, the next one that we see is él es arquitecto, or he is, can you use this handy cognate? Arquitecto is architect. He is an architect. I have ellas son maestras excelentes, or they feminine, are excellent teachers. Notice how my adjective here, make that in yellow, comes after my noun, right? It always will come after, never before. All right, so that's important to note. Adjectives come, and I'm going to go ahead and write that here. Adjectives come after the noun they describe. Right. So, ellas son maestras excelentes. And again, matching in number. And then my last one down here says, ¿eres tú ingeniero? I'm asking, are you an engineer? Okay. So a little bit more on that. So you may have noticed that Spanish does not translate that a or an when stating an unmodified expression. That's just a fancy way of saying that we don't say José es un estudiante fantástico, or estudiante, right? We just say José es estudiante. That un does not come up here. And the reason why is the only time that we use this un or this a/an in front of a profession is if we are, you got it, describing the type of professional we are. In this case, I'm saying Jose is not just a student, no es estudiante, but Jose es un estudiante fantástico. Because I described how he was, that's when I've included this little indefinite article there, okay? So if I wanted to say, for example, that yo soy maestra, or I am a teacher, I would write that as soy maestra. I am a teacher. But if I wanted to describe the type of teacher that I was, if I wanted to say, maybe I am an intelligent teacher, that's one of our words. I am an intelligent teacher. I would write that as soy una maestra inteligente. Bingo. All right. So the next one that we're going to talk about is point of origin. And basically this means, where do you come from? Where are you from? Right? So we cannot change where we were born. We cannot change where we came from, right? So this is considered permanent. Now we are going to get into a preposition here, de. This is a super important preposition. And it's going to help us ask the question, where are you from? So for example here, we see, ¿de dónde es usted? Okay, this literally translates to from where, ¿de dónde, from where are you? ¿De dónde es usted? Where are you from? We can ask it in another way of, where are you all from, or ¿de dónde son ustedes? And notice here that in our questions, maybe you've picked up on this, but our subject pronouns, they come after the verb. So in a question, subject pronouns, I'm going to abbreviate that there, come after the verb. Okay. So, ¿de dónde son ustedes? Where are you all from? Right? So maybe you're going to answer that question. You can simply say, somos de Italia, or we are from, notice that preposition again, Italy. I could also say something like, el vino es de Portugal, or the wine is from Portugal, or el café es de Brasil, or the coffee is from Brazil. Cool. All right, so in English, we are super used to ending a sentence with one of those prepositions, right? A preposition is on, at, in, after, with, etc. Some people say that a preposition is anywhere a mouse can go, right? In, behind, under, away, inside, outside. A mouse can be in any of those places. So, for example, from is one of those. And in English, we say, where are you from? So that our preposition occurs at the end of that question. But in Spanish, read it, this never occurs. Instead, the preposition, in this case, which is de, is placed in front of the question word, donde. Underline that. The preposition comes before the question word. All right. So looking at our next one, this is called identification. And an identification specifies characteristics such as relationships, nationality, race, religion, anything that's part of your identity that you just can't change, right? Now, when you look at relationships, I'm sure maybe you're thinking, well, I was friends with somebody in second grade and we're not friends now. That's not permanent. And sure, I'll give that to you. But did you make friends in second grade thinking like, I'll be your friend this year, but next year I'm probably not going to talk to you anymore? No, of course not. When you make a friend, you hope to make it for a while. You try to make it a permanent thing. So, somos amigos. We are friends. We consider friendships permanent things. My next one is José y Eduardo son hermanos. Or José y Eduardo are brothers. They can't change that. That's their relationship. They're brothers till forever. Can't change it. I could say Pablo es español. This means that Pablo is Spanish, meaning somebody from Spain. Pablo can't change where he's from. He's simply Spanish. And then I have this question. I'm saying, ¿eres tú cubano? Notice again, right, that subject pronoun came after that verb. Good job. I'm asking, are you Cuban? You can't change whether you are or whether you're not. All right, so we're getting close to the end here, guys. Ser, we're talking about material here. And this is what something is made up of. So notice, so super big alert here. In this case, de does not mean from, but it means of. De can be interchanged, and its meaning is understood through context of a sentence, okay? But in this case, here we go. We have la mesa es de madera, or the table is of or made of wood. I have los zapatos son de cuero, or the shoes are of leather, or the shoes are made of leather. And then I have la casa es de piedra, or the house is of stone or made of stone. Okay. All right, another one, possession or ownership. This is a little interesting. If you are saying anything as in, this is mine, or my things, or yours things, those are the things that we're implying when we talk about possession or ownership. And again, we see that de is meaning of. Now, in a minute, if you get a little confused over the structure or the organization of these, don't worry, I have an explanation coming in just a minute. But let's continue, yeah? The first example says, los amigos son de María, or the friends are of Maria. In other words, how would we say that in English? The friends are of Maria. Anyone take a guess? In this case, we would be looking at basically Maria's friends. Just like that. The next one that we see is la idea es de Pedro, or the idea is of Pedro. In other words, how would we say the idea of Pedro? Maybe this, Pedro's idea. The next one we see, los perros son del muchacho, or the dogs are of the boy. In other words, are you following along? We're looking at the boy's dogs. Now, do you notice any similarity between these three sentences in Spanish? Or, I'm sorry, in English? What do all three of these sentences have? Maybe you see it? It is the apostrophe S. This is how we show ownership in English. But if you notice, that's not happening over here. So keep that thought in the back of your mind, and we'll revisit it in just a moment. Right now, I actually would like to take a look at this special little word here, de. All right, so Spanish only has 2 contractions in the entire language. How easy is that? And one of them we're going to learn right now, and that is de plus el, meaning the. So this el is simply my singular, masculine, definite article. Not, read it, not el, which is equivalent to he. All right, so big warning there, not el, which is in he. Okay, instead we're talking about, again, that singular masculine definite article, el. So de plus el will give us del. And the explanation is super simple. That de, el, gives us that e sound right next to each other. And in order to make things easier, instead of saying de él, they just simply combine it to be de él. Like I said, super simple. All right, continue. Now, back to those possessives. So you could see, obviously, that those translations were not exact. And that is because there is no apostrophe in Spanish. Yeah, no apostrophe. So when you think of Peter's car, like we would say in English, the Spanish structure that we're going to work with is actually el carro de Pedro, the car of Peter. Okay, so let's think for a couple of examples here. If I wanted to say something like Maria's book. If you want, pause, write this out yourself, see if you can figure it out. How would I do this in Spanish? Ready? Instead of Maria's book, we're going to write el libro, right? Because again, we have the noun first, and then de, which is my preposition, and then boom, we have Maria, the book of Maria, or Maria's book. If I wanted to say, let's say for example, the student's backpack. Okay, pause again if you want to do it yourself. La mochila. And then remember, when we don't know the gender of someone or something, or some person, we have to assume masculine, right? So instead, I would have de plus el, right? Estudiante. But we know now that that de and that el are going to combine. So instead of de el estudiante, the new word that we should have would be del. All right, and our last slide, guys, you made it this far, is finally where an event takes place. Now, this seems like it would also be like a location, so maybe something temporary, but if you look at it, it's a singletary event, and where it is where it is. That's not gonna change. So we have, for example, la fiesta es en la casa de José. Notice again, we see that lovely structure, the house of José rather than José's house, right? So the party is in the house of José. Another one, we have el concierto es en el club, which is saying the concert is in the club. La protesta es en la capital, the protest is in the capital. And in this case, we look at it as is take or takes. All right, my friends, you did a really good job keeping up with me. If you have any questions, just reach out and let me know. And if not, happy writing. Adios.